You're still watching Ways, hashtag what are you saying? Thank you so much for being part of the conversation tonight. It promises to be amazing. Now, in Nigeria, small, medium enterprises and just the buzzword, they are the backbone of the economy. SME contributes a staggering 48%, according to a report of Nigeria's GDP, making up 96% of all of the businesses and provide about 84% of jobs, according to the latest data. Now, yet the outlook isn't that rosy. Does anything really come easy? Over 50% of new businesses fail within the first year, and more than 95% don't even last 5 years. I'm looking forward to see a Nigerian business that has, or an African business that has, you know, existed for like 100 years. I'm going to be very proud. Now, financial barriers, you know, it's also a major concern that SMEs face. We hear that, you know, $32 billion financing gap might be a problem alone for Nigeria. You also have issues of limitation by high interest rate, lack of collateral, and regulatory hurdles. Now, amidst all of these challenges, you also want to consider the issue of poor infrastructure, constant financial strain, limited access to network and markets. Networking isn't also a luxury, so it's critical. Now, tonight we're saying that, you know, you can leverage your network, you can leverage your connections and your contacts to have a successful business or even a career. Now, to make sense of all of this, I'm joined by a woman who truly understands this game. Aramide Abe is an international development leader and networking expert. Also the founder of Niger Startups. She's a networking strategist, like I mentioned earlier, and a business leader who's helped countless professionals and entrepreneurs achieve their goals. Aramide, it's good to have you join me this evening.
Hi, Mercy. It's a pleasure.
Yes, please. But let's start off the conversation on this particular note. With the statistics, 50% of businesses in Nigeria fail within the first year of start. Do you think that is lack of network, strategic network? Could that be the issue?
Thanks for that, and I'm glad you set the context with some of those statistics and challenges. We know access to finance, poor infrastructure, policy issues are the predominant challenges that businesses face when it comes to growth. But actually, not leveraging networks is another limiting factor as well. Being able to leverage a network or even take advantage of it more than you think can actually help grow your business. So to your point, yes, it is a limiting factor alongside the other fundamental issues that businesses face on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, so let's talk about networking. I mean, what exactly is networking? What does it mean? You know, because I'm sure that...
Yeah, good question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, let's get to the basics, right? I think networking is the ability to engage with stakeholders. It could be clients, it could be peers, mentors, acquaintances for a reason. I always say it's not just to accumulate business cards, but it really is, you know, to have a goal that you want to achieve and taking advantage of the people, the circle of influence, the degrees of separation that you have as an individual or as an entity, such that then you can achieve that goal, be it business growth like we were talking about earlier, or career growth, or additional knowledge you want to gain, building your personal brand, all sorts of things. You can network for all sorts of things. So it really is that action of engaging and taking advantage. And it's not just going to events. It could be leveraging, you know, channels online. It could be even just looking through your phone book and then even strategizing as to what you want to achieve in the next 3 months and who will help you get there. So it's an entire, sort of like forest in itself. It's not just the act of going to an event in a sense.
Mm. So if it's not, because over time, I mean, maybe we begin to talk about the misconception. It might not be too early, because a lot of times you hear people say, let me attend this party so I'm able to network, like, you know, and it literally means just going to meet people, because you're going to meet a certain caliber people in that particular event. So most times people say, hey, let me get to this particular event, let me attend this event because I'm going to network. So what exactly then is network if it's not about meeting people? And how can people, leverage network, not just about being at a certain location in time?
Yeah. Great question. And as we know, the ability to influence an individual or build trust takes place or has greater value when you're doing it face to face. So you can't take away the value of going to an event, right? But I was just saying that going to an event is not the only way to network. So events are key because then you're able to meet different types of people that you couldn't have met if you didn't go. For example, if it's a conference, maybe an industry conference that you go to where you have all the industry players come, maybe in another country, you may not have had the chance to meet them one-on-one where you were. So definitely events, conferences, meetings, that sort of thing are key. But the key thing there is also being able to utilize the being at an event, right? It's not just going there or going to countless events and not getting any value out of it. So I guess the key word is really value, right? So what value are you getting from it? And it comes from being intentional in the first place, having a plan, also not overthinking it, just being yourself. It's not about being extroverted or introverted. It's about really having a plan and knowing what you want to achieve, figuring out the ways you can do so, which is why I also say apart from in-person events, you can leverage communities, you can leverage LinkedIn, for example, social networks. There's all sorts of ways. And that's also why we call it social networks, because it's a way of connecting with people. So really it's connecting with people, but using different means. It could even be from a Zoom call. You find something interesting, you exchange with someone, and then you build offline that way. I have built a mentorship relationship from LinkedIn that has grown so deep, such that the person has opened significant career doors for me. And that was off LinkedIn. So it's just to say that there's so many different channels that you can use to really connect and engage and meet people to achieve that certain goal.
Okay, so let's talk about the how now. How can professionals, business owners, career personnels, and what have you, use network to overcome challenges and achieve their goals, whatever the plan is? How can they do that?
Yeah, great question again. So, like I always say to people, and I have a weekly article or column that I write on LinkedIn about networking as well, called Beyond the Handshake. But the real thing is to have a plan. So you want to, first of all, outline what it is you're trying to achieve. Is it, okay, I'm trying to change careers or change jobs? For some of us, it's trying to get on more boards, for example, right? And so if that is an objective, then it's like, how am I going to go about doing that? So it could be, I'm going to attend an industry event or an event that speaks to governance, for example, such that there I will meet people in that space and we can then begin to build relationships and I can learn more about industry standards and things going on that can help my knowledge or broaden my experience. That's one way. So still on boards. Another way could be, okay, so maybe I've come across a boards course online, or there's a LinkedIn session which I attended a few days ago that had to do with how to get on more boards or how to get on boards. And you go on there and you're learning and listening. So you may not necessarily be meeting people, but that is also helping you to attain the knowledge that you need in line with this goal. And then, of course, then you're leveraging also your peers as well, your colleagues, your superiors, people that you know, perhaps a boss or a mentor if you have one who has significant traction in that area. So again, if it's boards or if it's maybe to build knowledge or you want to get a PhD, for example, you know someone who's done that and gone that path before, how do you engage with them, network, or even go for similar convenings or join online channels to be able to allow you to achieve that. So the key thing is strategizing and then acting. I always say you just give yourself maybe 2 or 3 things. You don't have to want to do too many at any one time. And for example, if you're going for an event, then it's okay, if I'm going here, what do I want to get out of it? Yes, I may meet people where we're just having friendly conversation. It turns out maybe I'm even the one who can help them. So that's why I always say when you get to an event, it's all about being open, but also listening as well. such that even if you're an introvert, you can actually take advantage and make good use of being at an event. It's not about going to every event, but really taking advantage of where you are at any one time. And sometimes you may not get what you need at an event, for example, or online in that instance, but it doesn't mean that's the end of the plan. You just have to keep trying, keep tweaking your approach, and really going for it. So yes, having a plan, attending events or identifying a few that you want to attend in line with your goal, not just any and every event. Getting there, also giving, you want to sort of give in terms of maybe I have some information that I can share, or I have someone I can refer to help you with this problem that you mentioned. It turns out that actually goes a long way, because reciprocity is a thing, and people in the end return favors even in the long term. So that's another way. And then also being very efficient and making good use of opportunity, such that if someone mentions something where you can key into that opportunity at that time, perhaps it's a business deal, then you act on it, right? You don't just delay. 3 days later, you've met and you've not followed up with them. So following up maybe the next day, it was nice to meet you, thank you, just referencing X, Y, Z, and then taking advantage of that from there. So there's a few strategies, but I've mentioned a number that would hopefully help any individual or entrepreneur looking to network.
Okay, so let's begin to talk about the misconception. I know that we literally have mentioned one in the course of this conversation, but what are the misconceptions that a lot of people have about networking?
There are several ones. Some people think, I've heard a lot of people say, I think it's kind of fake, where, I'm trying to do something to get something. And I think that's a perspective, right? And it doesn't mean...
I mean, you lost me there now.
So some people can say, having to network, it's almost like I'm creating this scenario because I want to get something, right? And it doesn't feel natural, right? And people have said that. But the key thing is, with everything, with every successful person, every successful entity, they've leveraged relationships. So without looking at it as some scientific act, you can look at it as relationship building, because relationship building is actually what makes and sustains businesses, careers. There's a lot of people who have got jobs only through referrals. They've never applied for jobs. I have a friend like that. There's people who, if you think about the richest man in Africa, his network works for him. So we can't downplay the value of relationship building. And I think it's about changing that mindset as seeing it as very transactional to a relationship building exercise. And it's also about you adding value. So it's not because I want to only get something. I may be able to offer value as well. So if you see it that way, that sort of deals with that. Then there's a case for, getting business cards. Someone says, I got 100 business cards at this networking event. That can mean nothing if no value was got out of it. So if someone had 2 conversations that were very worthwhile, and maybe they even closed deals or got a significant referral through those 2 conversations, that outweighs the person who collected 100 business cards at the same event. The third thing is, people say, I'm an introvert. And so for an introvert, I don't see networking as something that is palatable. But actually, introverts have very strong listening skills, such that when you go somewhere, if you're not chatting, you're not the one chatting all the time, you're listening, and such that you're identifying potential opportunities where someone else may have missed. So, and also I say to introverts that you don't have to change who you are to network effectively. You just have to, like I say, have a plan, and then, maybe not go for 12 events or 7 events like the extrovert, but pick 1 or 2 where this adds value to me. I can, attain or meet 1 or 2 people, and then do that. So I'll mention those 3 misconceptions. I think we'll stop there at this point. We can go to the newsletter for more tips on that one.
No worries. But let's continue to talk about this. Again, because we're talking about networking, I'd like to find out from you if you think that networking is an exclusive reserved for a certain class of people. Could it be those who are in a certain cadre? Does it cut across the entire spectrum?
I wouldn't say it's for a certain class at all. I would not say that. And I'm glad you raised that, because I watched a video once of President Obama referencing the fact that people assume certain people are where they are because of X or Y. but it's just because those people had the necessary exposure and the timing, and so then they are in those rooms, right? So at whatever stage you are, even as a 17-year-old, you can network. You can be a member of maybe a swimming club, a polo club, netball club, and you have peers there. And through that, you formed relationships that, sustain just even the game. But, perhaps you're both parents, they can share tips on X or Y, or they can give you business referrals. A lot of relationships have been formed even in sporting clubs, right? So all I'm saying is it's not secluded to an elite group in a sense. Anyone can network. Academia, you need to network for that. Career, like I mentioned before, alumni, school alumni, those are good networks, and you'll be surprised what you can get out of that. My school alumni, at the moment, it's still growing strong, all the different years, my high school alumni, and even my university and business school alumni, and I've gotten so much value from there, from the different platforms that I've been a member of. So while some people just, ignore them, other people make good use of them. So it's really looking at what is in your hand, what is in your phone book, or they say like your Rolodex. Like go back to your phone book and you'll be surprised the value that can come out of the contacts you have. So you may not know the billionaire of Nigeria, but the next person can actually connect you with the next thing. Or you might have ignored a channel that is actually useful. For example, your alumni network, like I said, or if you have an interest, you love hiking, you're in a hiking group, you'll be surprised if you spend more time building relationships there where you can get some value or even add value.
Okay, we need to take a quick break now, and when we return, the conversation continues right here. Please stay with us.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we'll connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
Now, many thanks for staying with us and tuning in. In case you just tuned in, it's Ways, your favorite primetime show. And tonight we're discussing how networking can be very important for your business and career success. And so it's very important. It's quite exciting tonight, very expository, if you'll ask me. Do not forget that we'd like to hear your thoughts on this one. Remember to join the conversation. All you need to do is send an SMS to the number 081-803-846-63, SMS or WhatsApp to the number 081-803-846-63. I hope I got that correctly. The phone lines are open. It means that you can call in as well. I'd like to take your calls, ask questions, and maybe contribute. 070-25-0077 and 49 or 070-142424 and 20. I take that number again, 070-25-0077 and 49 or 070-142424 and 20. Let's hear your thoughts what you have to say, questions, contributions, quite welcome. And we still have Aramide Abi right here with us. Once again, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Mercy. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay. So what are the platforms, as we course the conversation down, that one can build meaningful network from scratch. But before I let you answer that one, this was actually in my mind. So beautiful thing about networking. But again, when it comes to a certain gender, I don't know how I'm going to even phrase this. Now, the issue of, sexual harassment, sexual molestation, I like to bring it down to pidgin. There's this meme, I don't know if you've seen it. Let my helper not be sexually attracted to me. So how can you solve this problem? How can this be avoided in the midst of networking? That you don't have your networker or the person who's responsible for connecting you to a certain Dangote, or maybe even the president or the minister or whoever it is, not be sexually attracted to you. That you also not, giving back. I don't know if that makes sense.
First of all, I haven't seen that meme, so please send it to me after this.
I will send it to you.
But yes, like any engagement, being in school, at work, you face the same challenges I'll use a woman. I'm a woman. Those risks are there. It's not just only about networking. It could be anywhere. It could even be in the market. The key thing is, first of all, introspection, right? So what are your own values, such that then you're not compromised in a situation where you're trying to network and a situation presents itself, and then and then something happens and you're not sure. So your own values, you need to be clear on that. But also, I think vigilance is key. And then there are certain women who will say, okay, well, I'm happy only dealing with women. I only want a woman mentor. That's perfectly fine as well. People have different reasons for wanting, different things or doing different things, especially if they've been through certain experiences before. So we can't downplay that. So the key thing is vigilance. And it's okay to say no. You don't have to jump at every opportunity or think that is the only way you can get to that route. I actually don't agree. If someone feels like they're the be-all and end-all to your solution, and there's a problem there, there's so much in you that you think that you don't even realize that you have, that we keep looking outwards for a lot of things where you're enough. So I guess for young women, I'll probably speak to young women because that's my primary demographic, which is that, first of all, be clear on your values, be vigilant, but also be open-minded. And if there's anything that presents a risk, then you should be able to say no. And if it's more than just that, then you have to raise an alarm. So I hope I've been able to answer as best as I can.
That's okay. I'm very glad that I raised this question, and I'm also very happy with your response. However, if you're watching and wherever it is that you are, please do well to be part of the conversation. You've got questions, Aramide is here, she's going to answer, or you've got any contribution, do not forget, you can join the conversation via SMS or WhatsApp. It means that you can send your messages to the numbers 081-8038-46 and 63, or you can call the numbers 07025 0077 and 49, or 0701 424 and 24 and 20. Let's hear your thoughts on this particular conversation. Now, in the introduction, when I started off this show, we talked about some people would literally have like fantastic ideas. They're perfect. They have everything all together. But then again, nothing is working. They're just as good. How can, people build a network that can translate into actual results from the scratch, from nowhere?
I'm laughing because we're in such a microwave generation that we forget that some things take time.
Okay.
And so you can't downplay the long game. I never start with that, but I'm starting with that this time around. You really have to play the long game in many instances where it may not be instant, but if that consistency definitely brings reward. And you'll be surprised, not many people are consistent. If you look around, you try it once or twice, or you do something once or twice, tomorrow you do it this way, another way. But if you really keep at something, there is reward, unless, there is where you're not doing it the right way, where then you need to look at it and establish, is there a better way of doing this? So playing the long game for sure, being very intentional. I find that people don't necessarily follow up effectively. You've met someone can help you, send a follow-up, say thank you, it was nice to meet you, even if it's just a friendly message, and just so you can open that loop of communication. Also, like I keep saying, and I know some people may say, oh, there's no time for that, but still look to give. you'll be surprised. For me, I found that sometimes when I've heard someone present a challenge that they have, I'll say, oh yeah, I can connect you with this person, I can help you do this. And then I do that and I've moved on. And then somewhere down the line, they come around and help me for something that I didn't expect they will help me for. Or maybe not even them, but somebody else. I got great help because I was able to be helpful or to give. So I think giving is a key part that maybe people don't think about. But even at the top levels, even with the elites, they understand the business of reciprocity, of networking, building relationships, building that depth as well. Some people are very transactional in the way they approach things. So it's almost like, you know, somebody's going to message you, hi, Mercy, how are you? You know why they're messaging you. It's for something. It's not to really find out how you are, right? So I find that people need to begin to build relationships. You know, I keep saying, you can't just go and meet people, can you be my mentor? Can you be my mentor? Half the time they're busy. Everybody's approaching them to be a mentor. Have you even built a relationship with them first? And then, you know, you're singled out because you have certain interests or you've helped them with something. And then from that, then you can establish that deeper connection. I don't mean every business relationship or career relationship must be a deep connection, but still relationships work.
But
And
you
then,
go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, then leveraging online channels, we have that luxury now, which I guess our parents, grandparents didn't have, where you can get a connection with someone you've never met before just because you've engaged online. You've never met them before. They're more or less a pen pal, and they've been able to help you open a door. That can happen, and that's the beauty of today's world, which is social media channels. So, like I mentioned, LinkedIn, even other social media platforms, if you use them effectively, but LinkedIn is the most professional. Then you have communities as well. I convene a business leader network, the Niger Startups Business Leader Network. There's so many other business networks and even networks for different things, professional associations as well, trade associations. And then, you know, people say, okay, conferences. I've built some good relationships even from conferences as well. So all of these are quite helpful but you have to establish, okay, what adds value. You're not going to break the bank because you want to network as well. So be reasonable about what is workable in the period of time that can help you achieve the goal you want to achieve.
Now, in the course of this conversation, one of the things that we have constantly said is about building relationships and to have deeper connections. That seemed very simple. But again, how can you build a relationship, you know, with the context that you've literally met to have deeper connections, just not beyond, you know, just saying, oh, I met someone somewhere. So how? I mean, realistically now.
Okay. So two things. There's people you already know who you don't even realize. You can go back to check in and revisit those relationships that you had before. Maybe some of them are even dormant. So that's one. And then there's people you've just met. Of course, you can't be friends with everybody you've just met. But if you identify one or two that you want to build relationship, even just because you might even just like them, right? And so you want to build that relationship there, or you feel, oh, you have similar interests, or they can help you attain X, Y, Z, you can, you know, initiate that. And through that, like I mentioned, you follow up, you can reach out again and say, okay, do you want to grab coffee or dinner? Let's get to meet up. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't be spooked out by reaching out to someone to propose lunch or dinner just to catch up. It's very common now, of course, in our days. So, you know, before it might have been like, okay, just stay at home. Where are you going? But now you can reach out to people. Let's grab a drink. Let's have coffee. Let's grab a meal or lunch to either discuss or even just to get to know. Sometimes you don't even have to give a reason. Just reach out. So I think that's the first step. You don't want to just leave the door idle after having met someone without actually initiating a follow-up because they're not someone you've known before. So what you want to do again, like I keep mentioning, is when you meet in person, you can build trust that way better. You can influence better. It's very hard to influence over Zoom. Yes, I know Mercy, we've met on WhatsApp, and I love Mercy, but I would love to meet her in person as well, such that, you know, we can build that relationship that we've already started. Okay. So I always say having that in person, which is why the pandemic, it was something else.
I know.
And thankfully now we're out of that. So you can meet people in person. It's very valuable than just being online. But of course, we're grateful for online, which is why I'm here today, because we can meet online. Yeah.
Yeah, online is very beautiful because we're in different parts of the world, by the
Yes.
way. Let's also talk about, now I'd like you to share your experience. You are an expert in this field and, over the years. I'd like you to share one of the positive, one of the highest moments of networking for you and one of the lowest moments that you have ever experienced, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I have to think about. So highest. Okay, so highest moment was, I've had a few high moments, but
Okay.
I'll mention two, and then I'll mention a low moment as well. One of my high moments was having a mentor that I wasn't even that close to her at the time, refer me without even me knowing for a board position. So she's someone that I had known from afar, I had known her when I was younger, just from afar, but also in my career life, just, more of an acquaintance. And she had probably seen me on a few social speaking engagements, seen the work I had done online, which is the value of your brand as well, and we'll come to that at a later date, and referred me for a board position, which I got. So again, some of these things are not advertised. They just ask people they know, and then the people refer. So imagine if you didn't build any relationships or have any relationships. So while we didn't have a very close relationship, I was quite chuffed that she referred me. Another highlight I'll mention is several people coming to tell me, "Oh, do you remember when you helped me? Somebody said I was stuck in Dubai for something, and you messaged your business school group and referred me and billed me out just by someone." I don't even remember the story. And that's the power of being able to just leverage your contacts and add value, right? And not expect anything in return. So I was quite chuffed about that as well. I've had several instances where people have said, "Oh, you referred me for this." And I guess connecting people is something that I do and I love to do. Low moments. Low moment from networking. Yes, I think because I grew up very shy, I didn't take advantage of several opportunities that I could have. So I just could not. I don't know how I transformed, but I could, yeah. So I hated networking. I hated talking to people, not because I didn't like them. I just was too shy. And so overcoming shyness is something that is important. You have to also maybe question, why is it that you're shy? Is there shame? Is there trauma? Like, just figure it out, because it can really stop opportunities from coming. But the good thing is with life, it's like a revolving door. There's things coming, so you can take advantage of other things. So luckily, I've seen more opportunities now without the shyness that I've been able to key into. Or perhaps if I wasn't as shy as I was back then, I may have keyed into others. So not so much a low moment, but a downside of not, building the relationships that I could have done early on.
Well, I hope this actually inspires someone today, and I'm sure someone who's watching is inspired by your story and has something to learn from this. But as we close the conversation down, again, I'd like to mention some of the mistakes that people get to commit in the course of networking. What do they do? Are we supposed to have those do's and don'ts in the course of all of this? Where do you even draw the line? So this question is quite encompassing.
Yeah, and I think one answer for a do and a don't that goes both ways is about being authentic. And so it's important to be yourself. When you're too salesy or trying to just be something you're not, it comes out even without you knowing. People can discern these things. So do be yourself. Be clear on what you want to achieve. And sure, yes, there are helpers in the form of people. There are people that can help you, but be very clear. And when you're clear and you meet people, you've done listening, some listening, and then you mention your ask. If you get a no, then it's a no. And in other cases, many times it's a yes. People are actually quite keen to help or refer or put you in touch and whatnot. It's really about just stepping out. And then another thing is don't expect instant microwave Indomie noodle return, right? So it's about putting the work in, being patient, nurturing the relationships as well. Following up, sometimes it's all about following up. And then some people just don't answer, so don't be put off by that. You've messaged once, twice, thrice, and then it's fine. You can just leave it, right? Maybe another opportunity will present itself, or they were not interested, or maybe they were in a space at a stage in their life where they needed their own space, right? So different things. And then don't assume that collecting business cards or meeting 12 people, 15, 20 people at a networking event is value. It's about the depth. It's about the value you get from every conversation or each conversation. So even if it was 2 conversations, that's fine, as long as you're able to identify how that can help or how you can help. What else? Always have a plan. It's not about being crafty, it's about being strategic. So you're not wasting your time. We don't have time in this life, right? Time is money. So be very strategic. Okay, why am I going here? Why am I on this platform? Why am I doing this? And that helps you know what to say no to and what to say yes to. Yeah.
All right. 07025007749 or 07024 24 and 20 numbers to call this night to be part of the conversation. You can also SMS us, number 081803846 and 63 SMS and WhatsApp to that number, and so you can be part of the conversation. So, what platforms or spaces, if you like to say, whether offline or online, can you recommend in 2025? Because trust me, life in 1999 and whatever is quite different from the life that we have now. You know, the platforms and everything is going on. So, exactly what trends and patterns, platforms can we leverage in 2025? To network. I know you've mentioned this in the course of a conversation, but can you be more explicit and maybe probably list them?
Yeah. Okay. So we have LinkedIn. That's the go-to for career, business, essentially serious stuff. We have the other platforms like Instagram, X, for example, Facebook. You'll be surprised. The Facebook groups. We also have communities online, like WhatsApp and Telegram communities. Our community actually is online, is on WhatsApp, right? And that's where we engage with most of our members. The good thing about WhatsApp is it's evolved to allow for communities to thrive better. So actually, WhatsApp is a good way. If you know certain groups, you can join their WhatsApp platforms and see what it's like. If it's not for you, then, it's fine. You can leave. Excuse me. Alumni groups as well. You have some of your alumni, even WhatsApp groups, feel free to join. Sometimes you're just listening to the conversation. Sometimes someone puts an ask and you respond, and that's how you connect, or you take it offline, and then who knows. Industry events and accelerator programs for those in business. There's several. If you want me to list a few, I remember there used to be the Google Launchpad. There's the MEST Accelerator. There is, of course, we have the Tony Elumelu programs. We have the WIMBIZ programs as well. There's so many. CC Hub run different types of programs now. There's always a call for applications. We have a Telegram community that shares a lot of youth opportunities on our billboard. It's Telegram/Niger Startups. So t.me/Niger Startups. And we post hundreds of youth opportunities there with all the deadlines, jobs, fellowships, applications. And then, of course, offline. Please don't forget offline. So your social clubs, your sporting clubs, your associations, your trade associations as well, business associations, even co-working spaces. There's small co-working space, maybe there's 15 people working there. Ooh, have you met them? Do you know who they are? Get to know them, even if it's 1 or 2 people. You just never know. And I think that is it in terms of the different platforms and spaces. There's more, but this is a condensed list.
Well, so again, over time, you hear people say that, you're overdoing stuff. Is there anything like over networking or being like a busybody?
So there is and isn't. If you're going for events with no aim, it can be seen as over networking. But for some people, that's who they are. They thrive from going and meeting different types of people. So you can't downplay that either. But if you are just attending events, for example, and not getting any value, then that's to be questioned. So for an introvert, that is definitely over networking, because it's like, that's exhausting. I could never do that. I need to recharge when I meet and talk to one person, you know. So it really varies from person to person. It's all about perspective. But like I keep saying, please, you know, have a plan or a goal, and then take advantage of it. Feel free to go back to the drawing board. I was saying to someone that, you know, you can even have a stakeholder map where you say, okay, so who are my connections? My first degree, maybe my close friends, family; second degree, maybe colleagues, mentors, and that way you can map your relationships, and then even look at your relationships that are dormant, you know, your alumni associations, and begin to figure out, okay, what is it I want to achieve? How can I leverage each of these? And you'll be surprised what comes back. And yeah, so it's all about strategy. It's less about doing, is what I wanted to say.
So how strategic can you be now? Now I want you to be very detailed. For instance, I'm actually going to go attend an event, or any other persons are going to attend an event. What are the boxes to actually check? You know, tick the boxes. What boxes should you be looking out for? Or what exactly should be the plan if you're actually stepping out intentionally to network?
Yeah. So the thing about it is with life, you know, there's no sort of manual to help you. You just need to have the experience, and then you know what to do and what not to do. So with an event, you know, we've already established that you have a plan. But when you get there, the key thing is to be open, such that you're then able to have conversations. And if there's a conversation that perhaps is taking a long time, and maybe you want to also politely sort of move on, you can say, oh, I'm sorry, I have to just stop now. I have to, you know, go somewhere else or meet someone. It was nice to meet you. Can we exchange details, right? But, you know, the key thing is actually going and then experiencing, getting a sense of the kind of event it is. So if I said, okay, this conference, this is the playbook, you can get to a conference and it's a different ambience, it's a different setup, it's, you know, and that wouldn't work. So it's really about you also immersing yourself, having your strategy in mind, but also being very open, such that then if you had one or two conversations, the key thing is you know what you want to achieve. I just came from a conference about a month ago. I had a friend who was very clear on wanting to meet certain people because of a job she'd been trying to get. So she wanted to make sure she had a conversation with key people who were going to be speaking at the event, and she did. But that's a very clear and specific goal. Somebody else can say, oh, I want to get a job, but you don't know, you've not defined the kind of job, the kind of industry. So what are you going to say to someone who you meet? First of all, you even have to have a pitch, and we can come to that at a later stage. So it's important to be very clear about what you want to achieve, be specific, but also give yourself some leeway and some leg room for, okay, maybe I don't meet that person today, but at least I can have a conversation that will open a door. For me, I was networking for another reason, and there was a gentleman sat next to me, and I asked him, please, can I use your program to fund myself? And then we got talking. Turns out he's the CEO of a company I've been trying to meet. And from there, we exchanged details. After the event, I reached out. He didn't respond. Later on, he said, I'm so sorry, I've been on holiday. Can we set up a time? But I followed up. I did what I needed to do. You know, I was intentional about it from start to finish, not just left it, especially when he was right next to me. He may not be right next to you, but that's what I say. Be open, be friendly. You just never know. And if people are not friendly, then you can keep it moving. There will be somebody else who is friendly.
All right. Aramide, thank you so much for being part of the conversation tonight. I really appreciate you, and it's been very insightful. Looking forward to more of these conversations as we proceed.
Likewise, thank you.
Thank you so much. Aramide is an international development leader and networking expert, also the founder of Niger Startups. She's a networking strategist, like I mentioned. Great conversation. And to you who tuned in, thank you so much. Great one. Been having an amazing conversation from 8 o'clock up until this moment. We'll definitely return on Monday, all things being equal. Thank you so much for being part of the show. Now, if you missed out on a quote, I am hoping I can take this because Peter would just be off my head. So that it says, that's the quote for today. Quickly, networking is not about just connecting people. It's about connecting people with people, and people with ideas and people with opportunities. That's what he says. Do not forget to follow us on our social media platforms. It means that you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV and interact with us further. Drop a comment, and most importantly, follow us on all of our social media platforms and engage. Remember to share, like, comment, and invite your friends and family to watch the show afterwards. Leave your comment as well. Thank you so much. I definitely return anytime soon. My name is Mercy Eboko. Do have a fantastic evening.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, lives a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.